Hello, welcome to all. In the previous lecture, we studied about the application of Biot-Savart law for the long straight wire, and we also studied the nature of the magnetic field. Okay, both the divergence and curl of the magnetic field and the nature of the magnetic field. Okay, in the today's class, okay, as a part of that, we also studied the Ampere's law. Okay, yeah, in the today's class, we will do the applications of Ampere's law. Okay, you can see here the outline of today's class. Okay, what are the applications of Ampere's law? We are going to do for today. We are applying the Ampere's law for straight conductor as well as solenoid and toroid. Okay, we are applying Ampere's law in these three cases. Okay, in these three cases. First of all, let us consider the infinite straight conductor. We have already done this application in case of Biot-Savart law. Okay, we already derived the expression for the magnetic induction near the infinite straight wire by using the Biot-Savart law. Now we are doing the same thing by using the Ampere's law. Okay, what is the importance of Ampere's law actually? Actually, by using the Biot-Savart law, also you can find the induced magnetic field. We are using the Ampere's law also for the same purpose. Okay. Yeah, this is very similar to the case in electrostatics. Okay. They directly by using the Coulomb's law or the direct formula for the electric field, we can calculate the electric fields of different charge distributions. But in addition to that, we are using Gauss law. Whenever we use Gauss law, uh, we we can do or we can calculate the electric field in a very easy manner. But this is not always possible. Okay, Gauss law can be used only in some special cases. That means the object should be symmetrical. Then we can apply the Gauss law. Okay, then only we can take E outside of the integral and we can easily find the value of E. Okay, the same thing is true in magnetostatics as well. Yeah, if you take the Biot-Savart law, it applies to any arbitrary current distribution, but we may use the Ampere's law to find the magnetic uh, field near a current distribution whenever the problem at hand is showing a lot of symmetry. Then you can easily extract, you can easily take out the b outside of the integral. Okay, this is not always possible, so wherever it is possible to use Ampere's law, the derivation of b, that means finding the b, is very simple. But we cannot always apply the Ampere's law to find the b. Okay, we can apply the Ampere's law in some special cases. Wherever we apply the Ampere's law, we can get the result very easily. Okay, here I am taking the three cases where we can apply the Ampere's law. In all these three cases, we may comfortably apply the Ampere's law. There is a lot of symmetry in the problem. Okay, see here the first problem is the same as with the Biot-Savart law applications. The quantity we want to find now is also the same as we found in case of Biot-Savart law. So the answer should be the same. The problem is the same. The answer should be the same. Okay, let us check. Let us also compare the time required to find the B. That means in how many steps we are getting B, whether we are getting B easily in this case or in the previous case, we may easily check now. But the answer is the same. Okay, let us see. Now, let us go for the first application of the Ampere's law, that is the infinite straight conductor. Okay, long or infinite, long straight conductor. Okay, long straight conductor. Okay, now you can see the conductor here in the slide. Yeah, you can see the long straight conductor in the slide. Yeah, this is a long straight conductor. This is a very long straight conductor. Okay, here the current I is flowing inside of this conductor. Current I is flowing inside of this conductor. Okay, current I is flowing inside of this wire, long wire. Okay, now in Ampere's law we have linear integral. Okay, around some curve, closed curve. Okay, here suppose that you want to find the magnetic induced magnetic field here at this point or at this point. Okay, so suppose that your point is at the perpendicular distance r from the wire. Okay, so you may take you may take the point on either on the left or on the right. But what you have to see, that the perpendicular distance is r. Okay, now we may draw a curve joining all such points. That means situated at the equal perpendicular distance from the wire. Yeah. You see, this is not the real. I'm drawing just like a Gaussian surface in the electrostatics. Right. Now, I'm choosing this curve. I'm choosing this curve to apply the Ampere's law. Okay. How much current is linked with this area made by this curve? Current I is linked with the surface bounded by this curve here. Okay, you can easily see. This is your surface. This is the surface made by the curve, this dotted curve. So how much current is linked with the surface? Small I current. Yeah. Now, what about the direction of the magnetic field at P? Your current is going upwards. So now you may use right hand thumb rule. So here, what is the direction of magnetic field? This is the direction of magnetic field here also on this dotted line also. Yeah, current is upwards. So here the field is outside. Here the field is outside. Here the field is inside. So your B will be like this as a tangent. Here you take the tangent at point P. This will give you the direction of B. Okay, this is a curve. Furthermore, suppose that this is what is the length of this dotted line? 2 by r or L. Now I am only taking a small part of it. Okay, let us call this as a dl. Why? Because we have dl, the linear integral dl. Okay, there are so many such dl's along this dotted curve. Okay, now we want to apply the Ampere's law here. Okay, right. According to Ampere's law integral, Okay, it is a linear integral anyway. B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. Mu naught I. Okay, mu naught I. Right. On this side, we need not to change anything. Why? Because, yeah, the current linked with this curve, closed curve, is I itself. So we need not to change this. See, you are doing the experiment in the free space, so you need not to change this mu naught. Yeah. Now you have to evaluate this thing to find B. Why we are using this Ampere's law? To find B. To find B. See here, this is this wire is in the board's plane. This dotted line is perpendicular to the plane of the board. Okay, this curve is, so your DL is like this and your B is also like this. So here you simply have integral BDL cos 0. BDL cos 0 is equal to mu naught I. Okay, so you have simply BDL is equal to mu naught I. Now what we have to see here is whether we can write B outside of the integral or not. That is important thing. If you are able to, if things permit you to do like that, then the problem will be solved very easy. So here B and DL are just constants. B is constant everywhere. So wherever you go on this curve, B's value does not change. So you may write B just outside of the integral symbol, and just you have now B integral DL is equal to mu naught I. What is the integral DL? This is nothing but the summation of all DLs. Yeah, that gives you the total length of this dotted line. That is L. That is equal to how much? The perimeter of this circle, 2 pi r. Why? Because your point is, say this as your point is located at the distance or from the center. This is the radius of the circle. So perimeter will be 2 pi r. So V into 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. Okay. So your V is equal to mu naught I by 2 pi r. Yeah, you compare this value with the earlier Biot-Savart law application for the same problem. There also you get the same value for B. Okay, there also you have B is proportional to I. As you increase the current in this wire, okay, the magnetic field at point P will be more. As you decrease the current through this wire, the magnetic field at this point will be low. Why? Because B is proportional to I. Okay, next it depends also on one other factor, that is R, perpendicular distance of the point from the conductor. So as you increase the radius of this circle, that means as you move away from the conductor, what happens? B is inversely proportional to R. The magnetic induction goes on decreasing. Why? Because you are moving away from the source. Yeah, we got the same formula for the same problem by application of Biot-Savart law as well. But the procedure, the time required to calculate is greatly shortened in this case. So whenever we have the symmetry in the problem, we always have to choose Ampere's law to find the induced magnetic field. Okay, right. This is about the infinite state wire and the application of Ampere's law to it. Okay, right. And this is first case, first example of the applications of the Ampere's law. Right. Now let us go for the new problems, other problems. Yeah, that what is that Biot-Savart law applies everywhere, but you cannot apply Ampere's law in all cases. That you have to know. But wherever it is possible to apply, it greatly helps you to find the answer in a very easy manner. Okay, let us go for the second application. say otherwise. Okay, second application. Yeah, what is that application? This is very prominent example or the application, that is solenoid. Most of you, okay, already know this name. Yeah, what is that? Yeah, see, I can show you this slide. Yeah, you see, this is what the solenoid. What do you mean by the word solenoid? Solenoid. Yeah, yeah, it is a coil. Solenoid is nothing but a coil. Okay, with a current flowing through it. Yeah, this is what the solenoid. What type of energy is stored inside this coil when current flows through this coil? Yeah, whatever the work you do, that work itself stored in this coil as magnetic energy. So in this coil we will store the magnetic energy. Okay, right. See here, this is a very simple device. Okay, but we are taking very long metal coil, that means long solenoid. Okay, we imagine that it is of infinite length, very large solenoid. Okay, that means compared to the diameter of this coil, its length is very much high. Its length is very high. We are taking such a solenoid. Yeah, what about the direction of induced magnetic field here? See, uh, there are, if you are taking the turns very near to each other, then you may take each turn as a circle. Each turn as a circle. So here, current is flowing like this. Okay, it is coming around a coil. So at any place, what you have to do, you have to just use a right hand thumb rule to know the direction of the field lines. We can see the field lines in the slide. You see, at the upper portion of the coil, okay, the current is coming out of the paper. In the lower portion of the curve, the current is going inside of the paper. Okay, inside of the paper. You are observing that. Okay, you can see here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What is the general nature of that field? See here, there are all the circles around each turn, both at the upper portion, at the lower portion. These circles will be at the top. They will be in one direction. At the bottom, they will be in another direction. Why? Because the current direction is changing as you move from top to bottom. Okay. Right. See here. Otherwise, I will extend this. Yeah. Yeah. You can see now the solenoid. See, these lines are these lines indicating that there is some magnetic field in and around the solenoid. Okay, in and around the solenoid, right? See, generally you find this pattern of lines for a bar magnet. Okay, for a bar magnet. So one end of this solenoid becomes north pole, and another end of this solenoid becomes south pole. Okay, due to the current flowing through it. Okay, I can show you in other slides as well. Yeah, you can see here. At the top corner, you see the solenoid and field lines as well. Okay, current entering at the one end and leaving at the other end. See, on the one edge you have south pole, induced south pole. On the other end you have induced north pole. Okay, its length is L, but usually we imagine this L to be infinity. See here, you see the next, otherwise top right figure. Here, the field pattern of a bar magnet as well as solenoid are shown. Yeah, you're seeing the similar pattern of field lines here. Okay, where do you have the dense pattern of field lines both inside the bar magnet and inside of the solenoid? So here we use Ampere's law basically to find the induced field inside of the solenoid. See, whenever you take the infinite solenoid and whenever you see that those turns are very near to each other, then you have a very uniform magnetic field inside of the solenoid. See, outside of at the outside points of the solenoid, you see very weak. If your solenoid is is of infinite dimensions, then you have totally zero magnetic field outside of that solenoid. That may be on the top portion or bottom portion, above or below or right or left, anywhere you go, you will find zero magnetic field. Okay, practically you have very low magnetic field in and around any given solenoid. Okay, so here the field intensity will be more. Yeah, magnetic field intensity will be more in the middle portion of the solenoid. As you come to the ends, its value falls to half of the maximum value. Okay, right? For the outside points you have zero. Okay, if your solenoid is of infinite length, right? Yeah, now let us go further. Let us prove all these things by applying the Ampere's law for this solenoid. Okay, I will go for another slide. Yeah, this is your solenoid now. Okay. Now let us try to apply the Ampere's law in case of this solenoid. Okay. For that, what we have to choose, we have to select some closed curve. That depends upon the shape of that curve, depends upon the symmetry of the problem or the geometry of the problem. Okay. Now, you see, the field lines are parallel to the axis of the solenoid. Inside, at the inside points, field lines are parallel to the axis of the solenoid, that you can see in this diagram. Okay. Yeah, you can see the field lines in the slide. Yeah, field lines are, see, this is I out, I in. See, current is going inside, his current is going outside. On the top, I out, at the bottom, I in. In this case, you have the direction of field lines like this, okay, from left to right, okay, from left to right. Okay, now you can see the diagram of this solenoid. Yeah, I out, I in, okay. You have field due to that current, you have field line pattern like this. Okay, suppose that on this side there's a north pole is induced, on this side south pole is induced. Okay, then you have field lines like this. This is what the inside part of the solenoid. Okay, here you want to know, that's why here you have to select a curve passing through this point. Okay, this point say P. Now I am taking a closed rectangle. I am taking a rectangle here. Okay, say you may take this as A, B, C, D, or whatever you like. A, B, C, D. Okay. Uh, you want to perform the line integral along this dotted line. Okay, we have to choose a closed curve, not a closed surface. This one is a closed curve. In case of Gauss law, we imagine Gaussian surface, a closed surface. Here it is a closed curve. Okay, why? Because we have to calculate the linear integral as a part of Ampere's law, right? Now, let us try to apply the what is that Ampere's law. Okay, suppose that there are total n turns are there, number of turns. Okay, suppose that L is the length of the solenoid. And what happens? There is one quantity we have to define, that is n. In that case, small n will be n by L. Okay, small n will be n by L. What is this? Number of turns per unit length of the solenoid. Why? Because total turns by total length. So per unit length, how many turns are there? N by L. We are denoting that to be small n. Small n. So your small n will be from now on the number of turns per unit length of the solenoid. Whatever may be the total length, per every 1 centimeter of length, you have this number of turns, small n turn. Okay. So we use this small n to characterize this solenoid. Okay. This will tell you both the total number of turns and as well as the length. This takes into consideration these two things: how densely turns are populated across the solenoid. Okay? This will give you that information. Right. Now, I will write here according to the Ampere's law. Okay, according to the Ampere's law, integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. See how much current is flowing through this solenoid? Small I current. Without current, you have no induced magnetic field. Okay, current is the source of the magnetic field. Right. Now, let us try to implement the Ampere's law for this rectangular loop. Okay. For ABCD loop, what is integral BDL? Let us try to find this thing. Yeah, this loop is a rectangle, 4 sides are there. Okay, each one is a curve, C1, C2, C3, like that. So you have, now I am removing this circle, just writing A to B, something like that, or AB. Okay. Integral A to B, B dot dl, okay, plus integral B to C, B dot dl, plus integral C to D, B dot dl, plus integral D to A, integral B dot dl. Okay, if you are able to calculate this thing, then it is very easy to find B. Okay, see, I already told you that within the solenoid, within the inside portion of the solenoid, the B is not varying very much. B is not changing very much. That means either from A to B, or from C to, or from B to C, or from A to D, there is no appreciable change in the B. That you have to know. There is no appreciable change in the B. Then only you can take B outside of the integral. That you have to know. Okay. For that we considered a very long solenoid. We're taking our loop at the middle part of the solenoid. Okay. Now you have to do, yeah, this is B vector. No? This is B vector. This is B vector. Okay, this is what DL. This is now your DL. Okay, right. Now let us take first part A to B. What is A to B? Here, these are the field lines. This is your DL. Angle is 90. Angle between DL and B is 90. Cos 90 is 0. So you have here integral B dl cos 90 plus integral B to C. B dl means magnitude of B into magnitude of dl. Yeah. Next I am going for BC portion. You see here, this is a field line direction. Okay. This is the dl direction. Both are in the same direction. Then this is cos 0. Next, C to D, B, DL, C to D. You see, this is the B direction, this is the DL direction. Both are perpendicular. That's why here you have 90 degrees. Plus, next D to A, B, DL, cos, yeah, how much? 180 or, okay, if it is 0, it is 180. Okay. But here, one thing you have to know, this one is 0. Yeah, otherwise I will, okay, right here. Yeah, but here this, how many of these integrals are non-zero? A to B is cos 90 means 0, plus B to C is not 0. Why? Because this is 1. Yeah, this is simply B dl. Okay, dl. Next, B dl into 1. This is okay. This is not 0. Next, this one is 0. Third one. Fourth one. Actually, it is non-zero, but outside points B is 0. So here, otherwise you write here 0 dl. Okay. Now this entire thing will be 0. That you have to note. Yeah. So you have integral B dl simply. Integral B dl along this length BC. What is dl here? B to C. B to C. If this is capital L, okay, I simply say that this as a L, okay, this is L, right? Any tiny part of that is dl. Yeah. Now this is equal to how much? You are getting, you may take B outside because B is uniform. Okay, over this line B is same. B integral dl. B integral dl. What is integral dl? It is simply L or X, whatever you say. Okay, you are already designated this to be L. Okay, you call this some X. You call this some, okay, X, total length. Integral dl, here in this case is X. Say this as Bx. Okay, if BC is equal to What is dl here? BC. Let us call that as x. Okay. Therefore, integral b dl is equal to how much? Bx. Now, this is equal to, using Ampere's law, integral b dot dl is equal to bx. Yeah. Okay. Integral b dot dl is equal to, otherwise you write this as it is, mu naught I. Okay. If you are taking the bx, length of the solenoid, on this side you got bx. Now this is mu naught I. Mu naught I. Bx is equal to mu naught I. Okay. Bx is equal to, why it is bx here? Yeah, b into dl means b into x. So integral b dot dl is bx. This is equal to mu I. Mu I. See how many turns are there? Is there any need to change this current value here? Here this is, you have to write for n turns this is ni. For n turns this is ni. Okay. Yeah, we have to modify RHS as well. Why? Because we are not having only single turn. We are having so many turns, n turns. Yeah, ni. Bx is equal to mu naught ni. So b is equal to mu naught n by x, n by x I. What is n by x? What is n by x? N by x is a turns per length. Turns per length. What is the formula you are having for this? B is equal to mu naught n I. Mu naught n I. B is equal to mu naught n I. So what is the formula for the magnetic induction inside of this solenoid? Inside of this solenoid, mu naught n I. Mu naught n I. Okay. Yeah, this is a expression for the induction inside of the magnetic induction inside of the solenoid. Magnetic induction inside of the solenoid. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, what is the formula for the magnetic induction inside of the solenoid? Mu naught Ni. See, it is constant throughout the diameter of the solenoid. That means it is uniform. Wherever you go inside of the solenoid, okay, wherever you move on the axis, okay, unless you are very near to the edges, you have the same magnetic field that is given by mu naught Ni. Mu naught Ni. Okay. Yeah, here if you increase the number of turns per unit length, what happens? Automatically B value increases. Why? Because your current also increases. Okay. As you increase the current itself without changing the number of turns, then also the induced magnetic field increases. Okay, this is what you can infer from this formula, very simple formula. Okay, as you go either left or right at the end of the solenoid, then what happens there you get induction, magnetic induction at edge, B, edge of the solenoid. Here I will be writing here. B, edge. Okay, B in the middle point. In the middle portion of the solenoid, you get, okay, otherwise I will write both the formulas. I will report the, magnetic induction formula here. Mu naught Ni. Mu naught Ni. Okay, this is applicable for inside portion, inside of the solenoid. Okay, inside that too, in the middle portion. Okay, now I want to write the intensity at the edges. This is at end point. End points at this edge or that edge. There what happens, gradually the induction value falls. The induction value falls. Okay, why? Because you have only on one side the current and turns, on the other side you don't have the turns at the edges. That's why it reduces to half of mu naught Ni. Okay, this is the formula applicable at the end point. So because at the end points symmetry is not there, on only one side you have the current and turns, so you have B is equal to half of that is available, the induction that is available at the middle point of the solid. Okay, these formulas are very important. These two formulas applicable at the inside points, whether that may be middle point or end point. What is the general name? Inside. These formulas are applicable for the inside points of the solenoid. What about outside points? I already told you that for any ideal solenoid, B is 0 outside or very small, that is negligible. So B is equal to 0 for outside points. These formulas applicable for inside points, earlier formulas. B is equal to 0 applicable for outside points. This you have to remember. But you have to remember, for any ideal solenoid, the magnetic induction outside of an ideal solenoid is 0. Ideal means you have to take infinite, you have to take the solenoid of infinite length, okay, and the turns are very closely spaced to each other. Okay, in that case you have very uniform magnetic field intensity inside of the solenoid. That means your coil is filled with magnetic field. Outside of that, you take any vessel, that vessel will be filled inside only. Outside, nothing will be there. Here also the same thing happens. What fills this coil? Magnetic field fills that coil, that vessel here. A vessel for magnetic field is a coil. Outside of the vessel, you don't have the material which is usually present inside. Here also, for an ideal solenoid, okay, there will be no field out at the outside points. So if you take a vessel, if it is ideal, there should not be any leakage from the vessel. Similarly, if it is an ideal solenoid, you should have the entire magnetic field inside of that only. At the outside points, you have no magnetic field at all. If it is ideal one, that you have to note. Okay, right. Now I will once again show you the variation of the magnetic field inside of the solenoid. Actually, that is uniform. Where it is uniform? In the middle portion. Yeah, in the earlier slide, we have seen that. Yeah, once you see this slide, this is the distance on the axis of the solenoid. In the middle portion, you have very uniform and high magnetic field. As you come to the either left or right edge, what happens? It gradually falls. If you go very away, far away from the edges, then your magnetic field will be 0. That you can observe here in this graph. Okay. After this, yeah, let us go for the another application, which you can see in this line. Yeah. What's our next application? Now I am going for the toroid. Yeah. Now you can see the toroid, and see here also we easily calculated the magnetic field inside of the solenoid. Just we took a single contour, okay, single contour, that is a single curve, closed curve. Just we evaluated line integral on that curve. That is enough to get the magnetic field. Okay. Here, one thing we have to observe is our curve is going through the turns. Okay. They are passing through the area bounded by that curve. If you choose any area outside, if you choose any area outside of this wire, what happens? No current is bounded with the area made by this curve, so magnetic field will be zero. Okay. If you take any very big, large curve like this, in this case also, that means your point may be here or here, somewhere else. What is happening? How much current is bounded with this curve? No. On one side, it coming up. Current is coming up. Current is coming like this here. Current is going like this here. So how much current is there bounded by that curve? Nil. That's why for outside points of the solenoid, you have zero induced magnetic field. Why? Because that net current passing through that counter is zero. That line, closed line is zero. Okay, in this way you can understand the magnetic fields inside and outside of the solenoid. It is something like very similar to the Gauss law. Your charges should be inside the closed surface only. If your charges are outside, then you don't have any flux. Otherwise, if a force line is entering and leaving that Gaussian surface, in that case also you have no net flux. So your field will be zero. Here the same thing happens here. Okay, you have to note that. Right. Next we are going for the toroid. Yeah. What is toroid? Here we are making a ring with our long solenoid. We are joining the two edges of our solenoid. Then what happens? Then we get this toroid. Okay. When you just take the wire and just wound that wire on this torus, then you will get the toroid. Okay. Now you are choosing a torus. Core is a torus. Then you are doing so many turns of wire. Okay. On that torus, then you will get the toroid. Right. See here in this slide you can see the toroid. See the wire is on the torus. It is current is coming into the torus and going out of the torus. Yeah. Here in the case of toroid, due to the symmetry of the problem, our closed curves should be circles. Okay, that means that may be a small circle or a big circle. Here this is a toroid. Yeah, this is a torus. Here you have terms of the wire like this, coming in, coming out. Okay, the current is coming in. Okay, whatever the direction you take. Yeah, coming in and coming out. Right. Here you have to use your right hand thumb rule. Okay. Here you have circles, field lines like this everywhere around this wire. Okay. Just current is not flowing like this. In the meantime, it is taking so many rotations. That is what the complexity of the problem. Okay, overall direction will be like this. Your current is flowing like this. Okay, or like this. If you change the direction, your current will be flowing like this. Okay, the overall direction will be like this. Direction of current flow. Yeah. Now you can see in the slide the direction of the current, how the current is rotating like this. Okay. Yeah, your current is coming like this. Green like this. Okay, how many arrows are there? If it is a rectangular torus, then 4 sides are there. 4 arrow marks, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, right. Now, how to find this? Say this is the center of the toroid. Yeah. Suppose that you want to find the magnetic induction at some point here. See, say this your P. For that, you have to take one closed curve passing through this torus. Okay, passing through this torus. Okay. Now there are so many views of the current here in this slide. If you want, you can see here. Yeah. See how the current is taking turns here. Okay. See, these are the. See here, on this side the current is passing like this. On this side it is coming like this. See in the inner side it is coming like this. It is coming like this here. Okay, and going like this. Okay. See, this is from the top view. This is from the side view. Okay. This is a cross-sectional view of your toroid. Everything is shown in that slide. See, now we are going to see, let us assume that the OP is R. Okay, you are taking the circle of radius R. Okay, now you can see here. Now let us apply the Ampere's law. According to Ampere's law, integral B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. B dot dl is equal to mu naught I. Now here, yeah, we are taking this line, this dotted line, which is passing through. See, definitely you have some current linked with this surface. Okay, linked with this line, linked with this line. Okay. Okay, your integral is integral B dl. Simply, this is the magnitude of B, this is the magnitude of dl, and cos here, what is this cos theta? Means the angle between dl and B. The angle between dl and B. Now you can see here how your BDL, B and DL are parallel. Now you can see here the cross-sectional view is there in this slide. See, wherever you take any turn, what happens? Based on the direction of the current, you just use right hand rule. Then your fingers will be obviously along the direction of the dotted line. Your fingers will be obviously, because you are taking the magnet, you are trying to calculate the magnetic field inside the solenoid. So whenever you take your wire, see here, into your grip of the right hand, then your field lines will be parallel to the dotted line. That's why B and DL are parallel to each other. That's why here you see, yeah, in this figure, what will be the direction of B here inside of that? parallel to this dotted line, parallel to this dotted line. Suppose that your current is like this, your arrow mark is like this, then you take that wire, that turn into your hand, use a right hand rule. Okay, see how the field lines are going? The field lines are parallel to this dotted line, and that's why you have cos 0. BDL cos 0. This is equal to how much current you are having? Mu naught I. Mu naught I. Okay. Now you have B integral dl is equal to mu naught I. This is equal to, this is just perimeter of that dotted line circle. 2 pi r is equal to mu naught I. Mu naught I. Okay. So here your B is nothing but mu naught I by 2 pi r. Mu naught I by 2 pi r. See, if there are n terms, what you have to do here from here onwards, you have to write ni. You have to write ni. Why? Because you are having total n terms, so you have to modify this also ni. Here, what you have to write ni. N. So, what is the magnetic field of the toroid? Mu naught ni by 2 pi r. 2 pi r. 2 pi r. Okay. If you are taking a very long toroid, then its magnetic induction will be the same as that of the solenoid. If you are taking so many turns, if your R is infinite, then in that case, this is equivalent to mu naught Ni. Okay, the field of the solenoid. The field of the solenoid. Okay. So I see here. Yeah, here you see the expressions for the inside points. Mu naught Ni by 2 pi r. For outside points, you have B0. You have B0. Okay. As you increase the radius, what happens? As you move away from one point to other point within the toroid, what happens? B value decreases. As you decrease R, that means we are very near to the inner part of the toroid, then B value increases. B value increases. Okay, right. As you increase the number of turns or the current, what happens? Then also B value increases. Okay, from here to here, there is a change in the B according to this formula. Okay, it goes on decreasing from this point to this point. This is about the toroid's field. Toroid's field. Okay, on this side, in the middle, you have field lines like this. When your ring is like this. Okay. Here on the other side, we have field lines like this. Okay, circles. Circles. This is also very similar to the Bohr magnet. Bohr magnet. Right. This is about the toroid and the magnetic field of toroid by using the Ampere's law. By using the Ampere's law. Okay, thank you. Let us stop with this for today.